What's up, everybody? Once again, I am Shalon Nakia, your editor-in-chief for Reveal Magazine US. You guys are in for a treat today. We are sitting here with Miss Scarlett Presley Brown, and guess what? I won't only be doing the interview. We have our co-editor, Mr. A.D. White, here with us as well. Say what's up, A.D.
How are you all doing? I am A.D. White. As she said, I am co-editor of Reveal Magazine US. And we have the extreme privilege and pleasure of introducing one of Atlanta's most influential African-American women, Miss Scarlett Presley Brown.
Thank you. Thank you so much, A.D.
Now, in today's society, we're so caught up in reality shows and fighting and the drama and the hair pulling and the wine throwing and all of that. It's hard for us to keep a positive reputation. So a lot of ways, the African Americans, we have a bad reputation. And a lot of it is our women.
Absolutely, and it's sad to say, being a rising entrepreneur and an African-American woman as well, especially here in Atlanta, Georgia, what we want to touch on today is I want African-American women to know, and women all over the world to know, that it's not what you do that defines you necessarily, but it's how well you rise after falling that defines you as well. So whom better of a person to discuss these things with and adversities that we as women face than Miss Scarlett Presley Brown. So once again, how are you, Miss Brown?
I'm doing wonderful, and I feel privileged and honored to have the opportunity to have this discussion with Reveal Magazine and the two of you incredible young people.
Oh, thank you. Don't make me cry. So definitely what we want to touch on, like I said, there's a lot of things, especially African-American women, that we face, just different adversities, and I want to touch on how do we overcome those things. Now, we know that Ms. Brown, for you guys that do not know, she's been very influential in the progress of SCL Women Incorporated as well, especially with the Drum Major for Justice Awards. You're following in some major footsteps, which you're doing a great job. We definitely want to touch on that as well. So what are some of the things that you've overcome just as a woman, period, and how you've actually gotten to the point where you can say, I'm successful, I've been through some things, but I've overcome them as well, and here I am today?
Well, I think what we have to come to grips with is the fact that as women, we are first considered to be caregivers, caretakers, one responsible for being more domesticated than corporate. And I think that perhaps innately some of those characteristics do define us. However, we are much more than that. Even if you were a domestic engineer, that requires a lot of intellect. It requires a lot of talent, patience, perseverance, because managing a home and a family isn't easy. We do what we do well. I think African American women do it even better. I think it's part of our genetic makeup. I think that we have what it takes to be the best. I think that we are innately driven to be better than the average. I'd like to believe that the Cleopatras of old set the stage, that we are in fact queens.
Absolutely.
And that we are capable of leading and maintaining whatever takes place on the lower level as well as on the higher level. As for me, I've had my share of disappointments. I think that we also have to come to grips with the fact that disappointments are inevitable in life. It's just a part of life. As women, I think we understand that. It's just, that's life. Disappointments are inevitable. Misery is optional. So even when things don't go as we would like for them to go, even when things don't go as planned, automatically as a female, I kick into gear and say, okay, that didn't work, let me figure out what will. It's not a matter of let me fall to the wayside or give up or maybe somebody else will do it. If I've taken on a challenge, if I've taken on a job, that's my job. That's my signature on that job. And I need to be proud of it. I need to believe that when someone takes a second look, or even that first look at the work that I did, is something that I can be proud of. So I come from a family where you didn't boast about what you did, you simply did the right thing and you did it well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I definitely also want to touch on, we know that you are a strong woman, but was it ever a time where you felt like you couldn't do something, or how did you get to the point where you like, you know what, this is just another roadblock, I'll be okay? How do we get to the point where it's like, I am a strong woman, no matter what we see on television, how many fights or negative portrayals of just women, period? Like, how do you get to that point where you say, you know what, I am stronger than that, I'm better than that, and I can accomplish whatever it is I put my mind to?
Well, one, you have to know who you are, and you have to believe in who you are, whoever that is. The other thing that I would strongly encourage young African American women in particular to believe is that there's someone out there who's been through it before. You can call on them. I believe in mentors. I believe in queen mothers. I believe in sitting at the footsteps of wisdom, and I take that in. They've been there, done that, and they've got t-shirts to prove it. They can tell me stuff. I don't have to fall in a puddle of mud to know it's dirty. So I have capitalized on the wisdom of others who I felt comfortable in confiding in. I believe that wisdom is something you cannot take for granted, and it's earned, and once acquired, it's to be shared. That's why I feel good about when younger people ask me things, questions about situations that I've been through. I share that. That's what I'm supposed to do, and that's what I expect others to do, and I rely on that. There are so many women that we have as role models. You know, when I think about women like Rosa Parks, even beyond that, back to Harriet Tubman and Sojourner Truth, they had to, at times, feel frightened. They had to be afraid, and they may not have known what to expect. They just knew they had a job to do. So you go back and you pull from that. Sometimes the unknown is not something you can ever get your arms around, but what you do have to know is what you're capable of, and you have to have the attitude of, I'm going to make this work one way or another, and I think that's what gets you through. I was a keynote speaker for an event for the 100 Black Women of Atlanta, and this is the National Coalition of 100 Black Women. They will want me to get that right. And in my delivery, I shared that, you know, when we look back in the 70s and 80s and we would see the portrayal of strong white women like Wonder Woman and the Bionic Woman, and they had road signs and cars and airplanes and all kinds of extra stuff to get them from point A to point B. Whereas Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman were navigating the Underground Railroad through snakes and swamps, and they were able to achieve their goal in spite of those challenges. They didn't have it easy. African American women don't have it easy. We don't get all of those little extra special things. We have to make a way out of no way. And so I really do reflect on the strength of those type of women, and know that somewhere genetically I've got it, and I just pull it up.
Absolutely.
Growing up, I watched my mother really work hard and kind of make some things happen, and I was always amazed at how she did it. And so at what point do you get to a place where you're like, just because this is how it is doesn't mean this is how it's supposed to be, and you really just say, my grandmother was a single mother, my mother was a single mother, that's not something I have to do, or I can accomplish something beyond what I've known. How do you get yourself to that place?
Well, you used a key word, Anthony. You said mother. When you're a mother, it takes on a whole different meaning. Your life takes on a whole different meaning. The things you may or may not have done for yourself, that's one set of dynamics. But when you are a mother and you know you have to for your children, that's a whole different arena. There isn't anything that you won't do. You become a different person. You may actually let people abuse you, but you're not going to let anybody abuse that kid.
Right.
You're a child. So at some point in time, you get to that place in your life where you realize that if you don't do it for them, it may not get done, and you just embrace it. There's nothing that there's nothing that an African American mother won't do for their child.
I've seen it firsthand.
Yes, exactly.
So amongst those we know that you've accomplished so many things, including working with SCLC, Women Incorporated. You were influential in getting Atlanta's first charter school here as well. Of course, Atlanta Business League also named you one of the top influential women here in Atlanta as well. So amongst all these other accolades, what are some of the things, what is your wow moment even now?
Okay, so my wow moment, I guess, wasn't when I got those awards and those types of recognitions, even though they were wonderful and I'm very proud of them. My wow moment was the day when I was sitting in my office at Delta and the phone rang and I answered it, and the person on the other end said, "Hi, is this Scarlett Presley Brown?" And I said, "Yes." She says, "This is Oprah."
Oh my God.
Yeah. Oh my God. I'm like, yeah, right. She says, "Scarlett, I got your name and number from Ron Clark because I was on his advisory board, and I'm wanting to talk to you about helping me with my young girls in Africa at the school, OLAG, Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls. They're coming to America, and they're going to be visiting many of the colleges and universities here because now they're getting ready. And I wanted to talk to you about any type of arrangements that you can assist in making for them to travel from Johannesburg to America." I would buy a plane if I had to. Of course, she doesn't need me to do that. But I work with her and her assistants to facilitate the journey of her, I think it was 22 young girls, and that number may be off a little bit, coming to America. And they visited Howard and Spelman and Clark and Wesleyan and New York University, and I can't even remember all of the schools, Hampton. They visited so many different universities and schools in America, and I was so proud that I got that call to assist. There wasn't, of course, there's nothing you won't do to assist Oprah.
It's Oprah.
Exactly, it's Oprah.
But I want our viewers to understand, I do understand that the people that we have actually looking at Reveal, it's our generation for the most part. And I want to be able to inspire us once again, especially our generation, African American women, women all over the world, males, females, it doesn't matter. But right now, I want them to understand that they can relate to you. That this is someone, you are someone that have pretty much been through the same thing that we're going through right now. And I honestly feel that there's a disconnect between us. There's too much negative portrayals of us on reality shows. Like Anthony said earlier, that you see us fighting and arguing with one another. How do we rebuild that and reconnect with one another so that we're able to build each other up once again?
At a women's seminar, there was a presenter who made this statement: "There is a special place in hell for women who don't help other women."
Come on, somebody.
And that's the truth. We are responsible for taking care of one another, and we should feel it as our responsibility to help one another. When you are catfighting, when you are trying to pull someone else down, you're pulling yourself down.
Absolutely.
I just believe that at the end of the day, basic respect, basic courtesy, basic manners, those things are just who define that. Those are the characteristics that define us. And that doesn't matter who you are, male, female, black, white, Latino, doesn't matter. And if we remember, those are the basic things our parents taught us.
Absolutely.
From a female perspective, if we just use that as a platform, we will care enough about one another to want to help each other. I should want for you the same thing that I want for myself. Anything less than that is self-destructive.
Yeah. And I think once we can learn to work together once again as a community, like we can all make it. It's not about who's doing better than the other person. And like you said, I'm definitely an advocate for helping us as a generation, especially like I said, amongst ourselves, just my age range is so many, like you said, catty arguments and just women period not supporting one another. So I want, especially through Reveal, be able to reconnect us once again as women. So as an entrepreneur on that side of it, we've talked about being strong as a woman, but what's some advice that you would have for those that are looking to follow in your footsteps possibly, or just starting a business period as a woman?
I would highly recommend that you do pay attention to others who have walked the path before. We talked about it at your launch, that there are those who have had this experience already, and there's some wisdom to be had. I would take advantage of that and know exactly what to pull from it. I mean, all advice won't be the best advice, but look at those who are successful. Look at those who you know have had a struggle, but were able to emerge victoriously. And listen. there's no need for you to make those same mistakes. And if they are as good as they appear to be, they'll be willing to share that knowledge and experience with you.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to allow those that have come before us to groom you as well. And I think that's a big problem, especially within our generation. And I think, AD, you can attest to this as well. We want it right now, today. We know everything, and you don't. Allow those that have come before you to be there to groom you. Do your research. It's okay. So I'm glad that we were able to sit down with you and actually get to know you as a person. So outside of everything that you've done in the world, you're also married with beautiful children. What do you do when you're not speaking and when you're not running the world?
Well, there are five kids that we have, my husband Wendell and I have together, and then we have 2 little granddaughters and a grandson. So they take up a lot of our time. We enjoy spending time with them. We enjoy family time. We are what we call the black version of the Brady Bunch.
And she's serious.
Really and truly. But we truly do enjoy each other. We build on each other's strength. We complement each other, we support each other. We have a blessed family, and we don't take that for granted. We realize that we are a special group of what, we're 9 deep, immediate. So we treasure what we have, and we value that, and we say thank you to God for it.
Right. Okay, so before we let you go, definitely tell us how, if you want to, young ladies, if you want to get involved with Atlanta Business League, and then you too, SCLC Women Incorporated, how do we find out more about you and about those organizations as well?
Well, as for SCLC Women Incorporated, you can go to the website, which is sclcwomeninc.com, and there is an opportunity on our website for you to become a member. Even equally as important, an opportunity for you to be a part of many of the programs that we support, that we sponsor. We're getting ready for the Partners Against Domestic Violence event, where we will cater to and make a special day for women who have been victims of domestic violence. And that one is a little bit more confined. However, if there are those who want to support that event financially, you're able to make donations to SCLC Women for that on our website. After that, we will host the senior luncheon, which will be in December. That's a very special event for us, because what we do is we feed, we'd have a luncheon, and we feed 2,500 seniors.
Oh, wow.
And we celebrate their wisdom, we celebrate their sacrifices, we celebrate them. And for many of them, and they all get a gift that day. It may just be an ornament for a tree, but for many of them, that may be all they get. We make them feel special. And I got to tell you, those seniors, they come dressed in their Sunday's finest. The ladies have their hats and their gloves on. The men have their little shoes shine and their bow ties and ties on. It's a special day. And we sing some gospel music, and many of the politicians, Caesar Mitchell is always there. Judge Penny Brown is always there. The mayor of College Park, Mayor Dixon, she's always there. And they help us to celebrate the wisdom and the contribution made by 2,500 seniors. For that, we also could use financial support. And then in March, we will journey back to Selma, Alabama to commemorate the Edmund Pettus Bridge crossing. And we will take, in 2016, I think it's March 6 and 7, 3 busloads. And we will journey back through Birmingham, Montgomery, then on to Selma. It's an incredible learning experience. I'm
sure, and I do reveal we'll be there, guys. But really quick, I definitely want to talk about that. What was that your first time going? What was that experience like for you?
It was life-changing. You know, of course, we all know what happened via what we learned in our history books. But until you actually take the journey, until you go back to 16th Street Baptist Church, you go to Coretta Scott King's church, you go to Kelly Ingram Park, we went to the Birmingham Museum, we went to the jail where they were holding James Orange on the night he was supposed to have been killed. We went back to what was then the restaurant, but it was unbelievable what we were able to learn on that journey. And then to go across that bridge, it took a lot of courage 50 years ago for them to do that.
Yeah, sure.
We actually last year and the year before that, we were able to take with us Mary Liuzzo, who was the daughter of Viola Liuzzo, who was there for the voter rights registration, and she was the one murdered with the 2 other African American boys. And so her daughter was with us, and it's very, very emotional for her. But we take the journey back down the road that her mother was killed on. And what we do now is celebrate the success, we celebrate the victories, and we look forward to a period of time when perhaps this will all just be a memory.
Right.
We won't have to remind everyone that racism is still alive and well. We still have a long way to go, and of course, after what just happened this past week, we were reminded that the journey is still very much one that we cannot abandon.
Absolutely. And what are your thoughts on, as far as the shooting in Charleston, South Carolina? How do you feel about that?
You know, it's a sad day in America when we have to remind everyone that we have a lot to do. It's almost as if it takes these kinds of occurrences to be reminded of our responsibility. We should be assuming responsibility for this long before these kinds of acts take place. We have to embrace humanity, and we have to understand that civil and human rights are not something that we can take for granted. It's something that we have to work for and work on 24/7 every day of the week, and it's each and every one of our responsibilities to do so.
Absolutely, and that just goes back to what we were discussing earlier. It's about us helping each other. It starts here, guys, definitely. So I will not take any more of your time. Once again, guys, we have been sitting here. We've had the honor, the privilege of sitting here with Miss Scarlett Presley Brown. Reveal is introducing more of the world's best kept secret. You don't want to miss any more of this. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, Reveal Magazine US. Visit revealmagus.com, and we will see you next time.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Scarlett Presley Brown, Interim Chair of SCLC Women Incorporated. It's been my privilege, and I've been revealed.
Invigorating.
Empowering.
Unique. It's not just a magazine.
It's a movement.
Reveal Magazine US is an online publication that features young, professional, and minority entrepreneurs. Are you an entrepreneur on the rise? Should we reveal you next? If so, send us your information at info@revealmagus.com. Here's your opportunity to be revealed.